I still want to, so when it's difficult for such person to believe you and somebody you do things together, both wrong and all, he knows everything. And when the calling of God started coming upon my life, he started noticing it. Oh boy, this guy, you don't change you. And he started noticing, I told you, I said, I was the only one that went to first school in North, and they used gun to show you how stubborn I am. They used gun to pursue me. Very stubborn. Very stubborn. God took me from a place of ruggedity. There was things I've seen in life that I won't fear anything again. If I didn't fear some certain things when I was in the world, not now that I'm in God. I have rough upbringing in my life. But this young man, he's no, I know, then I didn't know immortality, but when I saw him, I knew why this young man is not growing old. It's immortality. And why I'm saying this, some of you began to count when we came out. There was a time we were indoor like for 3 years. We didn't count it. That means if we had almost 18 years in ministry, we are indoor. 3 years, no name. That was where Edda came, Kes came, Austin. Austin followed me from day one to Kes came, Austin came. But I'm talking about somebody that was when I started, to show you how close we are, when we graduated from school, I started living with my senior sister. He followed me and he was living with me in the one room they gave to me. So when I was living in that White House here, I was telling somebody, I say, my life is within this location. There's nothing to hide about my life. I live all my life in, I'm not that kind of pastor that you say, no, where you from come. I started all my life, my school here, my White House, Eschatology here, my first house in Jabba Road here, the church I attend here, everything about my life. So there is nothing mystery about my rising. I didn't come from anywhere. And I didn't know why God did not take me to Lagos. He still kept me in the same Jabba Road. And it was tough. Because everybody that knows me knows my life from. I was telling somebody, I said, there was a day I was in the church and I was preaching. There was one girl I pursued for 1 year. And she refused, and I sent boys to go and beat her. One fateful day, I was in this altar preaching, and it was baby dedication. As I lift up my hand, the girl did now turn like this. Throughout the preaching, I did not look this direction. I was going there. Nobody knew what was pursuing me. In my mind, the girl would say, so you be pastor? You don't become pastor? As I just, throughout that day, I didn't look at you. This way I preached to. No, but God, today we give him praise. So, but today he's not in Nigeria, he's a citizen in Europe. But anytime he comes to Nigeria, he will not attend any church. He will not. Since he followed me, he has not attended any church. Now, that makes me to understand that I'm real. The first person that followed my conversion still follow me today. I did no private, I didn't buy him anything. All the car he drove, he bought by himself. The house he owns, by himself. Nothing. So there is no business and he's still following me. And he has never said this man is fake or not. Even in Europe, he will call me to pray for him. He will kneel down. When he invited me to Europe, I went. The first thing he saw me, came down from the train. He knelt down. Somebody, when I wanted to marry my wife, he was the one that escorted me to go and toast my wife. And when we finally agreed, he was the first person that escorted me to my father-in-law's house. There is nothing. And when I married my wife, he was the first person that lived with me, with my wife. Because my wife met us together. So when I married my wife could not ask him to leave. It be like saying two of us marry. When I married, my wife could not tell him that they tell this guy to go. Go where? When we were to see, we were together. When we came to your father's house, he was there. But being mature, the man I married after some time, he knew I'm married, so he relocated. He packed up from my house. I want to appreciate my brother, JJ himself. Can we celebrate this young man that came all the way from Europe? Celebrate him one more time. I will always be grateful to you. God lift you. Can we celebrate him one more time? I won't forget you. The days of my life. Anytime I remember you, I'll be grateful to God that I met you first. Are you hearing me? I won't forget him. He was my first person I preached to. You know the experience I told you when I became deaf and dumb. When God called me, I refused to answer the call. I became deaf and dumb. He was still living with me in the room. All the encounter of my life, he was living with me. I said a story here that when a particular day I woke up, I told one of my friends that, look at my family, nobody's making it. That I'm tired of this life. Then I took all my clothes, all my shoes. And I was not, only thing I have on earth was what I was wearing. And I carried it to a pastor. He was the one that escorted me to the pastor. But when I finished, he said, oh boy, you sure said that your family juju never come. Everything. I gave everything. I was not having shoe anymore. But when I gave it to the pastor, I told pastor, I said, pastor, I know you don't need it. You can burn it, but burn it to God. But this is everything I have. I'm tired of, I'm afraid. I know prayer will not help me. Pastor, when I also bought my first television, I told you I went to Benin to buy. And yes, he was the one that escorted me. And when I also gave it as a seed, there was a time everybody in Japan would come to watch CTL. I mean, if you know CTL, that was the first. Then he was not in worry. We were the first person that bought it. It was in Benin. We went to buy the decoder to come and feast. So, you know, guy man, when I feast it, all the whole girls will come to my room to watch. And one faithful day I went to a church, and that was the only thing that bring people to me. In the evening, people want to watch NBC action. Are you hearing me? They won't come. I will gather people who know. I no time for fame, but one faithful day, that's the only thing I have first of all in my life that gives me pride. And one faithful day I went to a church, and excuse me, I've never seen anybody give like this in my route. I came from a route where nobody was helped, so I wanted to be different. And sometimes there was a day I told my father I gave something. My father was angry with me for 1 year. So I stopped telling them. But I knew, I don't know, I knew to get help, but I don't know how to get off from the head. One faithful day, the only DSTV and CTI I bought on my television, he was still living with me. But that was the first day he quarreled me for the first time. Because he likes fame too. And I deceived him that we want to go and give it to an electrician. He said, but not till they do. I said, they call or he get a CB. Before he knew, he saw me in front of the church. And we drop it in the church. I also talked about how I got the first AC. The inside is Parasonic, as backyard. The outside is sharp. It's something that has got me to go and buy it. That AC, when I have a visitor, I will go outside. Once I welcome you, you are welcome, you are welcome. I will go outside and turn the fan. And when it starts blowing, we go boom, 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 boom. You know, and one faithful day too, I pastor preach. I came back, I didn't wait for him to, I called him one day to disconnect that. I want to do something. He disconnected it. I carried that AC, go and drop in the church. And once I do this, I will lose friends. But then I was not a pastor. I was not even faithful before God. But I know. So when you see me today, I did IT for 1 year in this town. For 1 year, they were paying me 7,500. I came out for a sacrifice of 10,000 naira. So when they pay me, I will drop it in a church in Tabarudi. Now, for 1 year, that was what I depend on to survive, but I gave it to church. And yet, I was not too faithful with God. When I pay it, I'll be begging people money, 500 naira. I beg. You say, what did they worry this man? They borrow 500. They just pay us alawi. Just. And when I want to go and drop the money, sometimes he was the only one that escort me. So my life, if you see me here, my life it didn't just come. It follow process. Don't envy me. Sometimes I tell God, make me like this. He won't make you. The process I follow to get to this place is tough. But I thank God today that everything I did was not a mistake. It was a mistake in the eyes of men. Because of all these things, some of our friends left me. He was the only one following me. There's everything when I get, I'll go to drop her for church. So friends disconnected from me. I became a talk of town everywhere. This guy, waiting the worry I'm too much. I stopped telling people things. But then I was not a pastor. But I know that one day it will speak. So when you look at me and say, Papa, God of Victor, great. Make me like great. Somebody say, Papa, I want my... I say, no. If the process I followed to go to this place was a long road, I was doing it like a fool. People called me fool. But today, the fool became envy of men. Can you take your seat for 5 minutes?